picking up right where we left off, the only thing that I've done in between videos is I deleted the 3 rooms in the back because they were just placeholders to demonstrate that the functionality is working. We're now going to take a couple minutes to make better rooms. I might actually skip ahead because it's a fairly simple process. You're just really attaching planes together. So just game object, 3D object, plane. Last time we actually used the blocks and made them narrow, but that actually takes up additional memory because the textures and colors will be on all sides, whereas a plane is one-sided. So you could use the 3D blocks if you're going to have doorways and things that actually have like thickness to them. But if it's just if you're really just looking at walls, there's really no need to. So let's look at the location of that first camera, room 1 camera, as opposed to the office camera. And in that, we are going to, let's see, so it's at 15. Let's make that negative 15 even and make that negative 25 even. Okay, so that tells us where we need to move this. So let's move that over to negative 15 and slide it over there and lower it. All right, so let's see how that looks now. Okay, almost there. All right. So now, since we want the camera to rotate back and forth, we really need to make this bigger. So let's make this okay, let's rotate the camera just to get an idea of how much space we got going on there. That should be good. So we actually don't want this centered because when you think of it, you might have a security camera in the corner of the room and you're really kind of pacing, you're kind of scanning over to the other corner of the room. So that looks okay. Let's create another plane so we can just take this one, copy it, paste it, rename the first one floor. This one you could rename wall. Rotate it up since it's going to be the back wall. So it looks like it should be a negative 90 Z rotation. And now just push that back. Create another one. This time we need to rotate it looking like positive 90 for the Y. If you notice, you don't see, you're seeing a shadow, but you're not seeing the plane itself because planes are one-sided. All right, so let's click on the camera and see how that looks. So room 1 camera, there we go. So you can see the wall. So even though you can't see it here because you're looking through the other side, you can see that side. So now let's just rotate the camera. And it looks pretty good. Gonna be a little bit lazy about this. We're just gonna move that back wall up so we don't have to bother making a ceiling. And now we're just going to take this wall, copy it, paste it, slide it over, but now it needs to be rotated so the opposite side is facing inward. And again, not trying to beat a dead horse, but it's very important that you understand that concept that it's a one-sided object. Okay, so one last time, we click on the camera, we rotate it, looks good. I think we need to move the floor towards the camera just a wee bit more. And let's scale it a wee bit more. Okay, I just bumped the X to 1.2. Because what happens when we're rotating the camera, we're actually seeing the edge of the floor, and we didn't want that. So you can tweak this a little bit more, but that should basically do it. Now what you can do is you can turn this into a room. Well, it's already a room, but what I mean is you can link them all together so one object is a parent and the other one are children. So what you can do is you can just take the wall, drop it under the floor, take the other wall, drop it onto the floor, take the other wall, and drop it on the floor. We're not going to create the fourth wall this time because the camera is mounted on that wall and you're never going to see it. So now you can take this, copy it, and paste it. And just like that, you have a second room. So let's click on room 2 camera. And again, that looks good because you just have the clip of the wall there. And we'll rotate the camera. Excellent. And you don't see the room behind it because this wall is blocking it. And now we just copy that, paste it one more time, put it in front of this camera, and we'll click on that camera. All right, so that one needs to be moved slightly. So we'll go back to this, move it this way slightly. Still not quite right. A little bit more. Let's see how that looks. It's close. Maybe just a tiny bit more. Okay, so now we have more legitimate rooms there. Let's just drag and drop our colors. So we have a blue room. We have a green room. And again, in your game, you'd actually use like wood textures or cement textures, whatever you want. You'd put models in these rooms as well. I'm just putting the color here to confirm that we are indeed looking at those individual rooms. Okay, so good start. We've got our new upgraded rooms and we've got them positioned so as that the camera can start facing one corner and then scroll over to the other, pan over to the other. So let's now create the script that will pan the camera. So right click, create C#, and we'll call this cam pan. We'll click on room 1 camera. We'll put cam pan onto it. We'll open it up. So first we're creating 2 variables. Public float time interval equals 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to track how much time is passing, because if you don't set a certain amount of time interval between the panning of the camera, what happens is faster computers will pan faster, slower computers will pan slower. So we're going to track how much time is passing, set up an arbitrary interval that must pass before the camera moves again. Public float distance interval. This is how far we want the camera to move per interval, per time interval. So it's set at 0 for the moment, but it's going to actually get changed in the update section. So let's go ahead and save that. So in the update section, time interval plus equals time.delta time. So if we recall from math class, delta is a change in. So how much time has passed since the last frame? Drop that into time interval. So this becomes a cum. It's a cumulative tracking of how much time has passed. If time interval is greater than 0.01, so 1/100th of a second, if more than 1/100th of a second has passed, set the time interval back to 0. That way the time interval has to pass again. And then transform.rotate 0.distanceinterval.0. So in other words, whatever this script is attached to, it will be rotated 0 on the X, 0 on the Z, and this amount on the Y, which is currently 0, but it'll be changed in just a moment. So again, when the given amount of time has passed, you can change this if you think it's too slow, set it back to 0, and rotate the object the script is attached to. Next, if transform.eulerangles.y. So whereas this is saying how much you want to rotate it by, this is saying what is the actual angle that it's at now. So transform.eulerangles.y. So this is saying what is the y angle of the object the script is attached to. And again, we only care about the y because the x and the z are not changing. So if the y angle is less than 235, turn it around. Distance interval becomes positive 0.06. So in other words, every time this time interval is passed, rotate it by 0.06 positive if it's gotten to 235. 235 is the far corner of the room. Similarly, and lastly, just the opposite. If transform.eulerangles.y is greater than 265, which is what it starts at, then distance interval is negative 0.06. So if you hit this, turn around because you've gone too far. Keep going in that direction until you hit this, turn around, you've gone too far. And that's really all it is. You're just looking at an interval, and then you're setting what the lower and upper limits are for the range that you want it to move within. And that really should do it. So let's see if we've attached it to the cam. We have. Let's run this. Switch to that one, and there it is panning. Now, because there's no objects in the room, it probably looks like it's moving kind of slow. You get a better idea once you see the corner there. But if you had textures on the walls and you had like a couch or whatever it is that you're looking in the security room, you'd have a better sense of motion. But you might find this is a little slow. But again, it's security camera gameplay, so sometimes it's meant to be slow because it's meant to build up tension and that kind of thing. And you've got two things that you can do. You can either attach the script to the other cameras, or you can just make duplicates of the script with a different name. I've seen odd things happen with time.delta time when the same script is used. So you might actually find things moving too fast. Since there's only 3 rooms, it's not a big deal just to make 2 more scripts with exactly the same code. And that is about it. The other benefit of using different scripts is you could flip this around. You could say have the camera start facing that corner and coming back over here, things like that. So that should basically do it for this one. I might do one more video where we add visual effects to make it look more like a monitor, maybe give it a little bit of fuzziness, or maybe make it like a grayscale. There's all kinds of built-in effects to the Pro version of Unity, but if you're using the free version of Unity, you have to kind of fake those. So I might do one more where I can show you some manual ways of creating some visual effects for the cameras.